when you say like Ferrari of PC, how did you approach creating essentially a luxury brand? Like what makes a luxury brand regardless of what industry it's in?
Exactly. So how do you turn a commodity into a luxury? It's really what it was, because that's what a PC is, right? It's just a commodity. And so, a luxury brand is, a lot of startups go through this thing where they think the brand is the logo you put on a shirt or something, right? Yeah. It's not. It's a brand is made up of, first of all, you have to have an amazing product with a following. You have to have a fan base, and then you have to have a team who live and breathe and eat and sleep the brand. So you have to create this amazing culture where, everyone you hire loves everything about what they do, to the point where they work day and night, just building this thing. So, a brand is a product of culture, an amazing product, and a fan base, and that becomes the soul or the foundation of your brand. Which can be anything, right? Yeah. Creating a luxury brand requires those components. The reason why Apple was so successful even after they were, hitting the grave, essentially, right? There was a point in time where they were dying, to the point where, Dell said something like, Apple should sell their shares and return the money back to shareholders. And I think Kevin Rowland said something. By the way, Kevin Rowland was the CEO of Dell at the time, that Michael Dell hired. Yeah. He said something like, the iPod is nothing more than a fad. I mean, these guys said the dumbest things, right? Yeah. And yet Apple had one thing that none of them had, which was a massive fan base, right? And the fan base was there when Steve Jobs came on stage back to the company and said, like, we got to turn this thing around. And they were cheering for him. They were like, they were there roaring and raving. And HP doesn't have that, right? Dell doesn't have that.
But do you think, just to dive even further, do you think it really just comes from the founder and like their passion plus vision plus the way they even just like are the way they treat their employees as well as the users of the product? I mean, there's something
I don't know
special.
If it's the way the founder treats their employees. I think it's really the founder is the soul of the brand, right? So like if you look at any large company, let's just take HP as an example. When Bill and Dave were alive, the HP way was something that was learned in Silicon Valley. It was the thing, right? They started Silicon Valley essentially, and it was all about innovation and just doing things differently than what other people would do, and they created a lot of interesting entrepreneurs and spawned a lot of companies. But then over time, as they left the company and other CEOs came in. Slowly, they lost their identity and they lost their soul. They lost their culture, to where the fifth or sixth CEO basically destroyed the company, right? And they don't care. All they care about is their paycheck and their stock and their vesting, and they have no vested interest in the company. And you look at Microsoft as on the flip side. Microsoft's a great example of a company where you've got a living founder who still exists, who's dedicated his life to making the world better. His giving back philosophy emanates throughout the company, right? And so. People can say what they want about Microsoft on the outside, but when you're on the inside and you actually see how it operates, the culture of giving is there, right? Yeah. And plus, they've only had 3 CEOs in their history.
Which is amazing.
Which is major. It's major to keeping the foundation or the soul of the company close. And then Apple is another great example where Steve Jobs was the soul, and the heart and soul of that company. When he came back, it came back, and so having a living founder, having a founder. In the company is really important. And when the founder leaves, you have to make sure the transition is.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.